So hi, welcome. I'm AJO, also known as KurtCPhotoed, and I wanted to talk you through the new workflow that I have built with my friend Clark, who is also known as Verevolf. So this workflow is designed for people who run AI influencers or who want to, or anybody who wants to make some fun socials and things like that. Its intention is to take a single reference image of a person, someone real or someone that you create yourself, without having to use a LoRa or anything like that, and to make some fun videos, and not the little 5-second ones you're used to, but it stitches together a selection of scenes and will make a video. Generally speaking, most people would use it for 20 to 30 seconds of video. How long it takes to use will depend on what you're running it on. If you're running it like I do on a 1590, I find that a 4-second scene takes about 2 minutes or so, two and a half minutes. And if you're running it on something like Ultra Pro at Mimic PC, on their system, that's an L40S with 48 gig of VRAM. That's going to take you about 4 to 4.5 minutes per scene. So it's pretty good. You know, you end up with a pretty nice 13-second video on Mimic in about 20 minutes. So it works out pretty good value. So I'm going to talk you through the process. So the very first thing you have to do is you've got to get yourself a Gemini API key. Nothing at all is going to work or happen for you without that key. You're going to put the key into this purple box here, and that will send it out to all the different places that it needs. So it's pretty clear. Gemini key first. Then what you're going to do is you're going to choose your reference image. So you're going to load something up, maybe somebody famous or somebody, as I say, that you've built yourself or created. So this is an influencer I made myself in Flux earlier. And then what you're going to do is potentially give your project a name. You don't have to do that. You can leave it as demo, or you can call it, you know, influencer, or whatever it is you'd like to call that. It will automatically, every time you run the queue, add a number, a seeded number to the end of your project name, so you won't get lots of stuff in the same folder if you forget to change it. You'll get influencer 1, influencer 2, influencer 3 every time you hit the queue. So that's all done for you. Enter a story prompt. So this is where you're going to tell it what it's going to do. You don't have to do too much here. In the process, if you decide whether your person is male or female, helps get better answers, responses, if you're clear about that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to choose whether you want a portrait or a landscape output. So if you leave it as true, you should get portrait, you should get a landscape output. So then steps, it's really up to you. I run everything at 8 steps. It runs super fast, and that's what all my timings are based on. If you're going to do something super special that's going to be used for something like really important, you can put the steps up to 16 or 20. You'll just take longer time, you know. So whatever your inference time is per step, it will stay the same at 16 steps, but there'll be more of them. So that, you know, 16 steps will take twice as long as 8 steps, and that's how it works. Once you've done all of that, you're just going to hit the Q button wherever you've got your run or Q button, and you're going to let the LLMs do all of their work for you. You don't have to do anything. And it'll take a little while because it's got to do a whole load of processing to decide, you know, what it's going to draw, where it's going to draw it. And when that's all done, it's going to pop up for you with a choice of the scenes. One of the nice things with this workflow is that you get the option to cancel when you see the still images before you've wasted any time generating videos. So there'll be a button, which I'll show you in a second, where you can just cancel the flow and then just run again and get a different choice of images. So that's how I do it. You don't have to put your API
on the workflow screen for all and sundry to see when you do screenshots and stuff like that. Another alternative is you can put it in a .env file inside the custom node. So the author of the custom node has very kindly given you a .env example, and you just need to change that to be called .env, and in that .env file, it basically just tells you put your API key in here. So there's your API key here, put your API key, and once you've done all of that, you can then run the workflow with the API hidden. So that's what I do. Also makes these videos a bit easier. So at this point then, I can hit run, and what it's going to do, it's going to go through the processes, load everything up. And as you can see, the images that we asked for have popped up. Now you get 3 minutes to choose your images, and if you don't choose anything, it will just turn off. If you look at the images and they're the wrong people, there's something really bad with them, just hit cancel. And what will happen is you'll get either 2 or 3 or 1 batch of 4 images. So these 4 images were all created in the same batch, so her clothing is consistent. And these 4 images were all created in the same batch, so her clothing is consistent. The face should stay consistent because it's her face. And you might well decide it doesn't matter for how you're going to put it together. And I quite often will take, a scene from here. So it will run them in the order you click them. So I'm going to get that one first. Then I'm going to go with this one. And then she's really enjoying that bit of pizza. And then I'm going to just go with ending up outside in the garden for a cheeky extra bit of, looks like podcaster pizza with her headphones on. And when I hit send, it's going to remember the order that I clicked them. It's going to save those 4 images in my special folder, which will be influencer 1, I guess, at this point. And then it's going to just start to generate them one at a time. And you'll see it says here, 1 image to video. So that's being processed. And once it gets to the point where it's actually properly running, which you can see it's gone green here now, it's been through all of the LLMs and so on, it will start generating. Now in the back end of all of this, hidden away and doing its thing, you've got all of the LLM processes that make everything happen, that give you scripts, that change the scripts to be motion scripts, that decide whether it's going to be portrait or landscape when you flick over. And then here you're loading your models in. We're using Guff8, I found as being by far the best output, but you can change it to whatever you like in your version. Remember, if you're using somewhere, you'll need a different set of VAE and clips and so on to use this native workflow. So they are different. I'm using stage attention, I'm using torch compile. I haven't put on any Tcache or first block wave because I haven't found it's giving me a good output for general use across the cloud and my 5090, so it's easy to keep it all in one way. And then this is my my looping system and the resizing system. So all of that stuff happens in there. It goes around the loops, one for every image that's picked. So this system is designed to take up to 12 images, but if you really want to go mad with it, you can just add more on both sides, as many as you want, so you get to say 15, 20, whatever. And then every batch that you produce in Gemini is 4 more potential images. So if you wanted to do 24 images, you change that to a 6 and make sure there are 24 lines on both sides here. And then when you get to your image picker, which you can jump to with a simple 1 from anywhere normally, but for some reason it doesn't want to do it when I'm demonstrating it, but that is a bookmark with a number 1. But what you'll find is that those images will just come up in the picker. You can choose as many of them as you want, and it will just queue them all up one after the other. In my use of it, in my experience, RAM has never really got very high. VRAM does go up a lot, but it doesn't seem to topple over. It seems to clear itself nicely in the native workflow. And I haven't yet had any kind of out-of-memory issue or anything like that. But obviously, if you're not using it on a 5090 or a L40S, I can't tell you what that will or won't do for you. And when it's all done, it comes through here in one loop. It unbatches so that it doesn't produce 6 different videos. It creates one long video at 24 frames per second. You've waited patiently and the workflow's stopped. You'll see you've got a video has appeared in your compiler. That's come up quite nice. And where you would find that video would be in your output directory. There'll be a new directory called your project name, and then it'll add the seed number, which will be keep counting upwards until you reset it. So influence of 32, whatever, so they're always unique. And then in that directory, you'll have the stills and one MP4, and there's your MP4. That is how you make an influencer video with a reference character from just one photo.